Well, thank you for being around today and joining me. I'm Kieran Ann Lusick McDonald. I'm the 13th White Bear International Clan Mother, which means I'm a wisdom keeper, apparently, a knowledge keeper. And one of those beautiful things that we help with our children and our different genetics. And that's what a clan means. It means the children, by the way. It means our lineages and making sure that the rites and the passages and all those wonderful things are passed down from generation to generation. So, no, this is not I Dream a Genie. Yes, you can rub it and maybe you'll get some great luck. I hope you do, because we're going to talk a little bit about what I call medical triaging these days. If you're up in the areas that I am, a lot of these areas here in the Kootenays, the Okanagans, we're seeing in almost everything, the prairies, we see from the north to the south to the Pacific, to what's happening in Maui, to happening in Texas, to happening in Oregon, to happening in Whitehorse, to happening to many First Nations and reserves around. I've just unfortunately, was able to be on the phone with one of my friends that actually watched directionally beam lights coming down about an hour before the actual BC alert went off into the West Kelowna area. It's now apparently jumping over lakes too. So this doesn't go along just trees, it jumps miles over like water too. So it's been going over from West Kelowna to now East Kelowna into Coldstream, and it's moving on and on. We're seeing things all over the Karamis area, and it's just insanity. And we both know what it's for. If you're on my channel, you're quite well aware of what we've been talking about at Cosmic Reality, what we've been talking with Carrie Cassidy, and that's at Project Camelot. It's about hashtag Save the Children. We know we got convoys coming, and we have a lot of things that are going to be shifting right now to take out different things like the bioweapons labs and stuff like that in these headquarters. So in here, what I want to do is talk a little bit about the first aid and the triaging that you should have. Okay, there are many people that are going to have an accumulated accelerants, graphene, aerosol stuff getting contaminated, and they're going to be breathing it into their bioenergetic field. They're going to get into the nasal passages, air, and that's where I'm going to start today. We're going to start with water. And so how many of you have heard of a neti pot? This is what it looks like. It's a little pot here. And basically it looks like a little teapot, doesn't it? Because that's basically what it is. You cannot use syringes and just flush properly. It doesn't work. So neti pots can be obtained where? On Amazon. Almost every health store carries them, and actually a lot of pharmacies do too. So again, they come in plastic. It's preferred to have either a different one here. Let's say instead of plastic, you can get it in a porcelain, or you can actually see in the Ayurvedic tradition for yogas, they use it in copper, just like you would have copper vessels to keep the bacteria down. They are never meant to be shared, just like a toothbrush. They are meant to be only for you, just like you're doing a douche or an enema just for you, because we don't want any cross-contamination, because even though you're cleaning it with essential oils and hydrogen peroxide, again, there are a lot of contaminants that come out. Remember, your mouth and your nose is actually dirtier than the fecal matter. If you know a little bit about medicine, we do. So let's talk a little bit about that. One of the things that we have, there's a great book out there. It's called Water and Salt, The Essence of Life. This is a primary book that I think everyone should have. And it's by Dr. Barbara Handel. And I refer to it quite a bit. I always have, because this is what it's all about. Water is life. And if you haven't seen the show, Watch the Water, I suggest you do. So not only watch the water, but died suddenly, because that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about what this is affecting, how it's affecting you, how it's cross-contaminating, and how this is going to exacerbate these conditions, whether they're put in here or up into here. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So water and salt will be the two things to break up some of this. And we're going to talk a little about making Soleil. And in that Soleil, which is a saline solution, which is basically you're just adding some salt to the water. And it could be Himalayan salt, Celtic sea salt, anything along that line. And what we're going to be talking about specifically will be this. It's called a neti pot, or a saline or nasal water irrigation. And so you basically use just either room temperature or slightly lukewarm water. And it's basically just a sinus flush, depression, chelation, hormones, allergies, any kind of irritants. Remember, we're going to start seeing a lot of things exacerbate, because as the increase of the 5 and 6G, the Wi-Fi, the different stuff coming up here, it's going to be hard on the eyes, the contacts, the dental, the brain fog, all sorts of things. So we will be able to do this. And so this is what we're going to start going. We're basically going to show you how to do this. This can be applied for eye flushes and ear flushes. enemas and yoni steams, all sorts of things I'll be talking about today. So let's get started, shall we? And again, you can make the same kind of concentration into the bath. So it's not just for, as I'm talking about the neti pot, we're going to be talking about what you can also do to put into your bath, also for facial steaming. Okay, so facial steaming, the same thing. There's no difference than a facial steam compared to what I'll talk about yoni or vaginal steams for men, women, and children. I've also done it for animals. You can also use them for compresses using salt water and castor oil or things like that for aches and pains as well, because we're going to see more of it. We'll be talking about terahertz. I'm going to talk about quantumizing this kind of medicine now and how to be doing wraps and stuff like that. So let's get on with it and have a little bit of fun, because I think this is just amazing. You know, like I said, it could be in the eye flushes, anything like that, right into the bath, whatever you think you need to do. So, and we'll be talking about also using some of the mud. And mud could be mopatellite clay, which is like a bentonite clay or a zeolite clay, rather than actually taking liquid. We're going to talk about clay forms in here and castor oil packs, so that could be put in your water. So let's talk a little bit about the neti pot. This neti pot, we can actually alkalize it. Now, what happens is that most people are going to get very acidified, these chemicals, and we will not be able to wash them off our fruits and vegetables, sorry to say. So one of the things, doing all the cleaning you can, which will be great, but this kind of chemicals and accelerants actually penetrate into the fruits and the berries and the kales. So right now we're in a huge thing that you're going to need to look at sprouting and microgreens and container gardening indoors and getting a great source of water, because your lake waters will now be contaminated and anything above surface. So we need to look at things like spring water, okay, and stuff along that line. So I want to have you take a look at that. And in here, of course, they would ring. I'll just shut that off. Sorry about that. So what will happen in here, I want you to get something called litmus paper. Okay, so litmus paper is on a strip or on a roll, and normally you become very acidified. The more stress you're under, the more radiation, the more chemicals we breathe in. It's just like taking prescriptions. So remember, prescriptions can be aerosol. It can be injected topically. Even drugs like ivermectin and stuff like that should not be used, because I'm going to give you other options for that. So we can use basically baking soda water, with the exception if you're having kidney congestive heart failure, a lot of people with difficulty breathing and swelling and edema. We can't use this because there's an extra sodium in here. So in that case, we can get from suedeheals.com, and or else this is off Dr. Robert Young. It's called pH and Purify. So for the pH, it's actually a liquid triple carbonate. But I want you to think about something. For every cup of coffee you have, or glass of wine, or piece of meat, or piece of chicken, or piece of bread, it's going to take 12 cups of water to neutralize that. So in here, just by adding kind of these carbonates, you'll actually change the acid to alkaline. You see the difference here? It's absolutely amazing. You can really see the difference back here. So you go from acid to alkaline. So whether it's baking soda or a couple drops like that, you can put that in. And remember, a lot of your juices, with the exception of lemon and lime, will actually acidify you as well. So we can add that in. I can put in a little bit of salts. I think salts are great. You can put in, some people use Himalayan salt. The other thing you can use is actually grains of Manitou salts, black salts, Hawaiian salt, or North Atlantic salt, or Celtic or Brittany. Again, puts a little bit of salt water in here. So you're making a saline solution, and that's basically what it is. So you can flush the eyes. Other things we can put in might be colloidal silver, might be colloidal gold, might be more colloidals, which are gold, silver, copper, iridium, and platinum. And this is something that comes out of Kelowna as well, at Jacina. Okay, so they're not just sprays. In this case, I would put them into the water. We also have hydrosols that can be used, which are basically a watered essential oil. And this is one of the Florida wattles with rose, and it's from a place called Nocturnus out of Saskatoon. And they've got lots in stock, including some of the things we call quinine, which is basically shikona bark. So if you need to give them a call, they're amazing, as is real raw food. So other options too is I could put some essential oils in. Depending on the company, we could use something, let's say, like Purification, RC, Ravensara. You can use pine, cypress, all those sorts of wonderful things. You can also put in lavender. You could put in frankincense. And again, lemon can be used as well. So this is also one of our local companies up here. It's called Nev Essence, NEVessence.com. And in this case, you can put a drop of lemon in. And having said that, you can look up something for chelation. It's called black lemonade. So I want you to look up black lemonade, which is basically a glass of lemonade with a little bit of activated charcoal or activated charcoal pills. Other options we have, we can make this with shungite and make shungite water ahead of time. We can also put your shungite or shaga in, and it will turn your water black. So that's another thing you can do, or put in zeolite or bentonite clay water or tea water. So there are many, many, many different options. For those of you that have things called terahertz wands, do not do them to anyone that's been injected, please, or PCR'd. So what we can do is terahertz the water or terahertz something that they can put in their field. This is the new one from InsightHealthApps. I'm going to put my link below, and we want to see you. And oh, thank you. It's Infinite Awareness. Hi, Karen. Loved your recent show with Nancy Hopkins. Thank you. I believe you were on Radio 5G too. You're amazing. And thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And yes, I was with Nancy Hopkins. You can go to Rumble and take a look at one of my shows at Cosmic Reality. And also we talked about shungite and the use, because Nancy's amazing. She's actually the former U.S. Army Intelligence Security Division. Just like Carrie Cassidy is very involved with the secret space program people too. So this is stuff that we're bringing new technology, and this is some of the stuff that is being developed over years. I've been involved on and off with Ryan Williams at InsightHealthApps, and this is one of the new things. It's a little different than the terahertz wands. It's got red light, blue light. This is a mineral shield, so it comes through iodine, titanium, and zinc. This isn't a glass mirror, guys. And then in here in that little well, that little red thing, you can put essential oils in. So you can run your essential oils into the terahertz light spectrum. Not microwave, not ultraviolet, not infrared, but the terahertz. And so this oil that I put in there smells just as great as I did 4 or 5 months ago. And we're going to run red and blue light therapy. So you never do it on anyone that's been injected. Okay, we do not want anything because they've got heavy metals in them. And graphene is worse than like putting a spoon in a microwave, guys. It can backfire after time, just like we see chemo and radiation can take time, just like going into some of these rooms where they're beaming scalar waves at you. Okay, so you've got to be very, very aware and question everything, or, you know, rooms that have mirrors that can do loosh harvesting and stuff too. Anyway, in here, I want to show you this very simple on off. That's the blue light, red light. So you can do you, or you can do the water here. And that's one of the things you can do, is you can do the crystals or the water. The shungite that Infinite Awareness was talking about is at Mystical Wares, that also with Nancy and her crew. And we want to thank people like Walt Silva there, Mark Joseph is up there, and also Derek Conduit. So we're using a lot of the shungite. It's been activated by some sort of wonderful, mysterious blue beam that came in from the sky, I'll say, activated all the shungite from Russia. And we're using it actually to activate water. And it's acting like a bit of an anti-radiation and deterrent. So quite great for that. So this is something, again, there's another form of shungite and stuff that can be put on here. And the other one we're seeing with the bees and the animals, we're using the shungite and around towers, things like that, to try and neutralize or harmonize, right? To not block, but actually make it benevolent and see what we can do. So those are some of the things. And Derek Conduit's got that as well with his wife at Mystical Wares. So without further ado, I put my essential oils in here. I put a little bit of salt water. You can play with it. Baking soda if you want, or the other thing is borax. You can get natural borax as well. And don't use Arm & Hammer. I'm not going to go through this again. Use something that's clean. Okay, can you see this? There we go. It's just like I Dream a Genie, but anyway, it's very simple. You're going to put it up into the nostril, and you're going to go at a 45-degree angle. And just like a fountain, it goes in, it goes out. Okay? Very wild, hey? Again, you will be flushing it. You may get a little bit down the throat, which is great because there's a little bit of salt water there. Again, about a minute, or take a breathe, you know, a little breath, take a little bit of breathing, and do the other side. So again, why do I want to show you this? Because you're inhaling all this stuff in the air as airborne contaminants. And if you don't clean it out, it will start sticking to everything, just like glue and tar, just like they have actually shoved something with a swab up your nose. So this type of thing will be bringing out contaminants. Can you see? This is toxicity, just like when I do ear candling, it's toxic. Just like when I do colon hydrotherapy, it's toxic. Okay, so make sure you get rid of this, okay, and handle it with appropriate stuff. So that's actually doing that. The other thing I'm going to talk a little bit about is the water. So the water can be put onto these remedy plates here. And there's a big one here, or we have really cool flashing ones. You can get small ones, multi-layered, all in sacred geometry. So you can put your shungite crystals or waters on here. And what we do is we actually plug it in to different devices now. And these different devices are actually stuff that you can get on the iPad or a tablet or your phone. So right now I actually have this going on a tablet. It can go remote or you can hook up. I never hook up anyone vaccinated, by the way. So you don't hear anything because can you see it? It looks like it's beeping in Morse code. It's like the movie Contact. Do, 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 do. So it can go on you, can go on the skin, can go anywhere you need to, okay? This is increasing the nitric oxide by close to 700%. And this is huge, okay? So it's actually beaming through to you. It can be put onto any phone, iPad, or iTablet, and I would suggest for 2 weeks to try it out for free. And I'll leave the link below at Quantum Balancing, my site, /Karen Lusick McDonald. When I take this off, it will turn into your, again, going from scalar wave into a solfeggio tone. So as I take this off, it will actually go back into here. And now you're going to hear the tones. And again, you can put it with headphones or you could put it with sacred geometry and put some wrist straps on. Again, if you don't have toys and you're just playing with the trial, just put your headphones around the water. It's very, very simple to do that. So I'm going to encourage you to try that out for free. And I'll put the links down because you can do a lot of amazing things in a couple of weeks. There are many different apps out there. This is not the only one. I have many of them here. I've got so many, I don't even know how to count them. One of the other ones we have now available is called a Rife app. And the Rife does not have to be a $4,000 machine. This is under $200 as well. And can be put onto every phone. I don't know if you're excited about that, but I am. But this is actually the Rife here. And you pick out whatever category you want. Or someone tells you the conditions, or they have an amoeba infection, or they have a cancer, or they have acne, or whatever it might be. You're going to just simply tap the condition that you want and hit play. It's a preload. And again, meant to be done with earphones or earbuds or something. So that's the simplest form of Rife you can actually get at Insight Health Apps. And you put it for whatever frequency that you want there. So this is a pretty amazing thing. And so that's the Rife code right there. And everyone's loving this because what's not to love about that? I mean, look at all the different categories you can pick. I mean, almost every whole disease lexicon is in there, you know, from aneurysms to arthritis to depression to all sorts of things. So this is what the very simple form of it is. So it's beyond solfeggio or what we call no-J tones. The other option we have too is called an Odyssey. And the Odyssey is another type similar to the Genius. And basically what it is that you speak into it with your voice and it will actually just produce the actual preloaded program you want. So I just put my voice in and say hormones, airway, lungs, fungus, candida, depression, and boom, there it goes. Great night's sleep, things like that. As opposed to something like this that is totally customized. And we can go in here and look at traditional Chinese medicine, and it will pick out the actual meridian that needs to be fixed. So you can actually do like acupuncture. Okay, so there's your traditional Chinese medical panel. We have also looking at spine, we have hormones, we have all these different things, even sacred geometries in here. So you can see if the actual auric field is intact, your Merkaba is intact. And then again, we could look at chakras. Maybe the chakra needs to be in alignment. So it will tell me what's in and what's out. Very cool. So let's say someone just wanted to do a chakra alignment and away off you go. That's it. That's just how simple it is. It's not rocket science, is it? But it is. And again, as we know about breaking the contract, you're talking to the nanotechnology inside it. So part of that is having the awareness. It's kind of like the AA program. We have to go in and take responsibility for what we did. So we're going to go in and use these kind of things to give affirmations, breaking the contract. You can make your own daily mantra or daily prayer in here and have it repeat. So it's excellent for that. And again, going in, looking at the spine, seeing where there's inflammation, infections, and what you need to correct. So this is the very heart of everything that we can do. And again, it will tell me everything from going into what mineral you need to simply what essential oils you need. And so we can give them energetically through directly to the client or directly into the water or into the crystal and use it as a third party. One of the things I want to also add that's very effective to have, whether it's in the neti pot, your drinking water, things like hydrogen peroxide could be added in, MMS, which is a sodium dichloride. These are available as well at a place called Real Raw Food. And they're at a fraction of the cost up here, and they're close to us in the Okanagan, what will be left of it, hopefully, in the Penticton area. Another thing that's a must is BioOxy, or this is BioOxy or Oxy powder. This works in the small intestine. Everything's getting jammed up, the parasites, the Spike Protect. Again, Spike Protect, all those things. We have essential oils for chelation for Spike Protect to radiate and renew, to deal with peace and calming, to deal with chelation. Even heavy metals could be used with essential oils at Nevescence. And you can talk to Tony there. So I think it's really, really important that we see that. These are the things I talked about, the nitric oxide, which is why I want to use these things now, because this type of technology can increase the nitric oxide 700%. When I'm testing my clients, where you get your little tester strips here, there's a tester strip. You actually just dip it in your saliva, and you see in 10 seconds what happens. And most people have no nitric oxide because, as you've seen in the movie Died Suddenly, or Watch the Water, or any of these things, or what happened through the National Citizens Inquiry, you're seeing the issues, and people are suffocating from the inside out. And this helps increase some of the nitric oxide to allow that to breathe, which you can do in beet juice, beet powder, L-arginine. But take a look at this. Again, something that we carry with the white blood cell machines and everything else at truehealthcanada.ca in the Okanagan. I think that's important. One of the other things we're going to talk about a little bit will be steams in a minute here. So you can look up steamychick.com. That's one of my favorite schools and moders I'm from. I got this big curriculum vitae. We can go on and on and on. But steamychick.com. And that's where we're going to start looking at some of this stuff. It's for men, women, children, and animals. So instead of sitting on a smudge pot or going into teepees, which I don't recommend doing any sweat lodges, absolutely none. Until you scan people and see what kind of stuff that they're carrying, it can be transferred. Everything right now with nanotechnology and biowarfare can be transferred to you. It's called transmissible, like sexually transmitted diseases. And if that's the way you have to think about it, that's where your head's got to be at. And one of the things that we're using is the Spike Protect, keeping our alkalinity up, keeping the pH up to 8. And those are very, very important things. Because when you get your litmus paper up here, your litmus paper here better be turning into that purple, like 8 in the morning at 7 o'clock. I do everything. A little bit of iridology is on my scanners here at the Genius. Tongue, traditional Chinese medicine, your acupuncture, teeth meridians. Again, the organs connected to the spinal cord and the nervous system, which this is attacking now. And again, we're seeing problems, eyes, ears, nose, hearing, brain fog, all sorts of stuff. And so some of these things in here we're going to talk about. And you're asking here, infinite awareness, is yucca extract great and good? And how about aloe vera juice? Okay, a lot of them are actually great. Aloe vera juice should be a great brand. Interfolate is better if you can, or gel. I've used it for people because with the radiation, what we saw in Hope and Lytton, when they flattened that out, like what they just did in Maui or up north or any of these areas here, you know, they're telling you fires, but they're not showing you what's happening. There's nothing left of these buildings in some of these towns. We could be expecting millions of people here. Aloe vera juice is amazing. It was one of the most important things, taking half an ounce, maybe 2-3 times a day when you first have got radiation illness. And that's what we're dealing with here is radiation illness. Another thing you can do is the essential oils, like I talked about, Radiate Renew. We also talk about apple pectin, things like that. And I've got a whole program here. So we actually, when we scan you and test you, or you test yourself, you will see what you require based on your chemistry, because your chemistry is different than my chemistry. So one of the other things too we'll talk about here is, again, there's the idea using the steam. It goes up and through you. There's the infrared, using essential oils on your feet. Lots of types of biofeedback devices out there, and I have lots, like I said. This isn't the only one in town, but it's actually the quickest one you can use. We want to raise your vibration so we can measure the vibration of you and see what's blocking you. Seeing if the auric field is blocked. Where's the radiation coming in, or are you being transferred when you're in proximity to someone that's been injected? So those are some of the things in here, and doing things that say like enemas, colemas, a colon hydrotherapist, and we'll go into different things along that line. Very, very important that you need that. Even the steam chair I'm about to show you, if you prefer to have it as a sitz bath, go right ahead. If you want to see these little steam chairs, you can get them on Amazon or at Red Tent Wellness or at steamychick.com. So these are the things too. And you're asking again, yes, it's the Inner Desert. Very great one. That's a nice one. Or Georgia's up here. What about 100% pure gum spirits of turpentine like Dr. Jennifer? Absolutely. I've talked to the people actually down in Georgia. See, I always talk to my suppliers before I start recommending them, by the way. So even there, you can get them now a lot on Amazon. So doing pure gum spirits of turpentine. So don't go out to the Canadian Tire and get it. It's a special kind of turpentine with the trees down there with the pineal, which is another thing, like using, rather than just pine needle stuff. Remember, everything's going to be contaminated. This stuff is not going to come off. I'm going to suggest you get air tamers and all sorts of things that you can get now. And these air tamers, what can happen is that the air tamers right now you can get wearable. They're on Amazon. I never go anywhere without them, okay? They can be hidden in here discreetly into here. I stick them quite often in my bra. And then again, these are blowing. They're like a baby taser here. It keeps, yes, Diamond is the brand. Exactly what I was talking about with the Diamond G. Anyway, in here, so what happens is that this air tamer is blowing 3 feet around you. It also keeps an electrical field, just like a taser. Okay, but it's blowing negative ions there. So when you're near someone or the contaminants, I wear this all the time. Otherwise, I've got big air doctors and air purificators in here with ozone and UV blowing all the time. You need to keep things sealed up. You're going to have to be able to not take anything from the garden. You're going to have it in greenhouses or start sprouting and micro sprouting, and nothing outdoors, because we're not going to be able to get it off the trees. So yet grow in a plant, grow inside a plant. So now we're going to be talking grow towers and basically hydroponics and underground or covered greenhouses. Those are a different way in there. So let's go to our steam thing. We're going to talk about, as we talked about, steamychick.com, Red Tent Wellness. There are 4 schools of peri-steam hydrotherapy, of which I'm actually a graduate, not just nursing and doing medical stuff. We do have medical universities for doctors, which I'm part of, and that's at the IQUIM. So we actually have 2 universities in the world of that caliber of quantum medicine. We're cuties, quantum doctors in that area. So in there, let's go over to what a very easy steam setup is. I talked about getting them on Amazon or building your own. They're nice out of wood. We're getting a wood chair or a steam chair or a camping chair, a camping commode, a commode chair that you would see in the hospital. So let's take a look at it here. Okay. So that is my steam chair. I just simply went down to Canadian Tire and took a chair, made a 7-inch hole diameter. And you can see right there that I've got a hot plate. And you can see it's actually starting to steam there. So there's about 4 cups of water, 5 cups of water, a little bit of salt, a little bit of essential oils in there, and about equivalent to 2-3 tea bags. And you can put any, I repeat, any herb, root, or compost that you like in there. If you want to look up yoni or vaginal steams, again, for men, it's called a prostate or a resume steam. Again, the idea is to sit on these for anywhere from half an hour to an hour, okay? When do you not do it? When you're menstruating. So we're going to let that get a little bit more steamy, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'll also put in some salts in there, so make it a mineral steam. I think that's very, very cool. And so that's the essence there. Now, once we get that going, that same water that we used in with the neti pot, right? In with the neti pot could be put into a bag for your enema or Kalima board. You can do a do-it-yourself Kalima board. Again, now we're going to talk about nebulization. So turpentine, she mentioned, helped her save her life because of terrible lung disease, and she almost died. Again, MMS is there. Until you actually start getting things and getting alkaline and getting into that state where you can heal, it's very hard to do it because we've got biofilm. As you're going to be breathing this stuff in, it's going to start coating the entire tract, 40 feet, and you're going to start seeing leaky gut or the biofilm. And that's why we're going to talk about biofilm busting there. So that's actually one of the cool things here. So we're going to talk a little about the nebulization. And I've been having to use these. These are available at Real Raw Food, or you can find them online. And these are home nebulizer units. So basically, they come in an adult size or a child size mask. Okay, it comes apart with the mask. Let's put the mask up here so you can see what I'm doing. And you have a little well in here. So everything that you put into your pot, you can put in your water. Again, spring water or distilled, some people will use. Don't use city water, even Berkey or anything. Put in your colloidal silver, colloidal gold, baking soda, any of those things, eucalyptus essential oils, things along that line. You're going to cap it up and you're going to attach a hose. So it's going to be like a hair blower. Okay, we're going to put the mask back on. So it comes with a large mask, a small mask. And the other thing that it comes with is a pipette, which is like a straw. For those people that feel claustrophobic and don't want anything on their face, or if they've been abused or there's been stress, post-traumatic stress, and you can't use something like a mask on someone, you can hold it here or use like a straw to build in. So these run anywhere from about $90 to $150. Actually, most pharmacies have it these days. But now you have a little toggle switch. It's not oxygen, but it's going to start blowing here. Okay? Okay, you want to get it in and take deep breaths for about 10-15 minutes. If not, hold it up here. You see that? There are some Vicks ones out now that don't use Vicks and stuff like that and that crap. But anyway, you can use it with a hot steam, kind of like a humidifier, heated humidifier. But these are really essential. Again, I'm trying to give you some pointers because you need to have this kind of stuff available. This is what I have in my bug out and my bug in kit. So I don't know if you have any questions in there. It's great to have a whole bunch of essential oils. I think it's imperative to have things like oregano, thyme, ajowan, which is like a thyme, clove oil or thieves, all your trees, birch, fir, pine, frankincense, myrrh, lemon, lime, orange. Peppermint is for pain. These are some of the most common ones that you will see out there as I've done aromatherapy and stuff like that. And again, there is a great company up here that you can go on, or if you're a therapist, you call Tony Neves at nevessence.com. I think those are really important. So we're going to start seeing things. And again, how to use them. I put a lot of essential oils into veggie caps, and you can look this up. I also make suppositories. I make vaginal suppositories, and I'll show you a vaginal Yoni pearl as well. These are clear caps. They're vegetable. So what we do is we put about 2-3 drops or equivalent to about maybe a fifth of it. The rest I can leave it with water, castor oil or olive oil, and you can actually start taking these. This has been a game changer for most of my clients, is taking aromatherapy pills internally. And a lot of them you can. Almost all the young living, 99.9%, you can do that. And when we had people with cancer, so what you're seeing is, can you see how I filled it up? Okay, so there's a little bit of essential oil in there. And the rest you can do with castor oil, whatever else you want, or you can take it neat. And again, you can also, as long as it's not, oregano and thyme or something, I've actually done them where we've put into the rectum or the vagina, but used very soft things. Let's say like lavender, or frankincense is about the only thing I would put that way. But there are things you can do. So don't hesitate to do it. I've been doing it for 20 years. Like anything, when you don't know, you can get the book. It's called The Essential Oil Desk Reference. And it's something that you can study. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to check the chat room now, and we're going to see if there's anything else in there. I think it's important when you start looking at some of these things, is you don't have to be a clinician. If you do want consults with me, you can get a hold of me. And again, those are some of the things you can do. And that is easily to obtain what we need. And maybe it's just one or two things that you might want to look at. So again, you can look at me and you can actually get a hold of me at those two emails there. One is calm13 at Proton Mail. The other one is clanmother13 at Gmail. So again, those are some of the different things that you can look at right now. Very, very important, because we've made remedies and stuff like that. And that's actually part of what I help develop, is some of the live blood cell for these libraries or technicians. We can use them on animals, horses, dogs, pet, children from a distance. And again, doing things like iridology, looking at things in a different way. And I think it's important. We talk about these yoni pearls, and I'm just going to show you that. We'll check the chat room in a minute. So get your questions ready there. You can take the herbs, crush them up, and make them into a tiny little potpourri. And that little potpourri can be inserted into the vagina, and it's done every 3 days over a period of 1 to 3 months, except when you menstruate. And those are called yoni or womb detox pearls. I challenge you to go look at what comes out of people's vaginas after about 2-3 weeks. This is how they also did parasite cleaning. And remember, it goes in, it goes out. I am one of those women, like you see at My Cycle Story. And I think that's really, really important. Have you seen what's happened? It died suddenly. Watch the water. We'll talk about the venoms and stuff. But I'm one of the women that actually, I will start actually going into anaphylactic shock because of the radiation illness that you see with these people and what's happening there when I'm around anyone that's been injected. Very, very important. Very, very important. So those are one of the things. Getting your home enemas, or building your own Kalima board. You can look at Marcus Rothkrantz. Not rocket science, okay? But it is. And are the doctors doing these steams and everything I'm telling you about? Absolutely, in LA. And if not, the basic sitz bath. A sitz bath can be done on a toilet. Not rocket science, okay? Look up some of these techniques I'm showing you here, okay? It's proven time and time again. This is what they do in the hospitals in Russia, by the way. This is what they do in Europe. Not here, where they drug people into oblivion. And we've seen the ramifications of that. So let's take a look, shall we? And see what kind of questions we have here. So I like that again. We talked about the sea buckthorn is another thing. Sea buckthorn is amazing oil as well. And Irina down in Kelowna, what's left of it. Anyway, I was just told one of the lodges just burnt down. I just got a thing from Lorraine here. This nano spray company also makes sea buckthorn, but we had a lot of it, obviously, in Saskatoon when I was in the prairies. Amazing vitamin C. Absolutely amazing vitamin C. It's also used for radiation. Shaga, reishi, shilajit, not shilajit. Anyway, are excellent here. The other thing too, like I talked about, apple pectin. Do not overlook the importance of doing essential oils for radiation, 5G, and all this kind of stuff coming in here, because it's a chelated. The best form of chelation, besides activated charcoal and zeolite or bentonite or mopatellite clay, with Dr. Robert Young. And do take a look at his blog site here. You'd like me to talk about liver gallbladder flushes. Oh, lovely. Okay, here we go. Okay, so there's something called a liver gallbladder flush. I like doing them a lot. And my quickest way to do them is actually to take these pills I talked about. And you can make about equivalent to about 8 to 10 pills of these. And I fill them with Epsom salt, which is basically a what? Magnesium sulfate, right? That's all it Epsom salt is. So again, as we do the neti pot, the steam, the enema, again, that water stuff, we can use it in our bathtub. And so that's another thing, is putting the Epsom salts, the baking soda, the borax, all these things, into the bathtub. Some people are even putting in alfalfa, which again, a lot of it use like some tea bags or stuff like that. Otherwise, it's a mess. And there's Tabby, one of our top little therapists. You're not little, but I mean, you're smaller than me. Anyway, Tabby's amazing, and she's up in the area that you're going to see up in that Dawson Creek area and Peace River area that's getting all the, triage and stuff. So she knows her stuff. So there are a lot of us in here. Jen's another one. Jen's available too. She's in the Calgary area. And we're going to talk about the liver gallbladder flush. So again, you can look up Hulda Clark, or a friend of mine, Tom Walla-Wishin, did the advised and revised version of what's called Healing for Enlightenment. It was called the old Stanley Burroughs version. And Hulda Clark wrote a lot about it. I had all her books in my clinic 20 years ago. What I do is at 6 p.m., I take about 8 to 10 of these pills. And sometimes I'll also make a salt pill, just a general salt pill. And I take a glass of water. So that's 6 p.m. I do it again at 8 p.m. So in my nursing terms, I do this 8 pills and a glass of water at 1800, again at 2000. At 2200, which is 10 p.m., I can take then basically half a cup of olive oil or MCT or something like you want, or grapeseed or whatever, got sunflower oil, and about a quarter cup of grapefruit juice, organic, or lemon juice if you've got blood pressure issues. So I've taken 2 glasses of water, then a total of about probably 20 pills, and this right before bed. Okay, so 8, 6, and 10 p.m. Again, look it up. Liver gallbladder flush. Some people will do some apple juice for a couple days before, or apple pectin. The idea is that you do this in the night and again repeat it in the morning. And what will happen is that you can usually get an extra bowel movement or two, but it's a great saltwater magnesium flush. Also for people having digestive issues, biofilm, leaky gut. And that's where the Bioxy, this is a game changer, guys. If you don't know about this, it's called Bioxy, and it's at a company up here called nationalnutrition.ca. I think it's .ca, could be .com. Anyway, nationalnutrition.ca, I think. Anyway, otherwise, it's the same thing as oxy powder that Dr. Ed Group talks about at Global Healing and David Wolf talks about. Okay, this is the game changer because this starts ozonate. So you take this either in pills or a teaspoon, mix it with lemon juice, and then add it to water. Okay, it activates into an ozone. And again, so it's an ozonated form, or O3, like a nano form of this. And that starts getting that gut stuff down. Do you notice how many of us are starting to bloat, gain a little bit of weight? Because our systems are under so much stress and acidity, and people are again not eliminating all the toxins. So they're eliminating the nutrition with the biofilm and leaky gut and parasites, but they're gaining all the weight. So then you get that leaky acidic gut, and it's just a mess down in the sewer system there. Jen makes a great comment. She said, last night, wildfire smoke were very, very bad. They're bad here too, let me tell you. That's why we've got those air tamers on and everything else I'm talking to you about here. It's a necessity to get those air purifiers around you from Amazon. What do you think of what toxins are in the North Canadian fire and smoke? I know what a lot of them are because I have a Genus biofeedback. So we're starting to see not only the toxins, but I have an actual thing for contamination spills. I also, if you look at what happened with Dr. Robert O. Young, but you're aware that happened in the States is all over Canada. So what happened in Ohio is all over here, guys. So most of the time you don't know what it is. And that's why these are great to have, but more important, when I have the genus, I can identify it. So in here, I actually have got a library for radiation. I have one for venoms, but more importantly, what are the anti-venoms? So I don't do things like nicotine patches. It has been helpful for someone, but you can get nicotine or tobacco essential oil or pure, tobacco leaf if you want. Or more importantly, frankincense is an anti-venom too, but it actually will tell me what you need. And when you go into what are the toxins in the spills here, you can get validine, you can see the polymers. We are breathing in an array of stuff. And this is accelerant upon accelerant. Like I said, if you didn't hear from the beginning of the show, is what happened is that I was talking to someone at 8ish that actually watched many lightning, not at all, direct energy weapon beams that came down all over. And while I was on the phone with her for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours, I've been able to look at that. And so go into, and Tabby's amazing. Oh, hello, beautiful healer. The girls you online. Okay, they're my girls. Okay, thank you for sharing all of your knowledge. So thank you, Belle. Thanks, Aurora. Thank you, Rory. Thanks, everyone up there. Amazing group we've got up there. It's just amazing. So I think it's one of those things you can do too. This is now the time. If you haven't done it, don't think that you have to set apart a week. Just go do it. I've done even the liver gallbladder cleanse and just decided today's the day, and I just take my Epsom salts and go put them in the NutriBullet and put them in veg caps, and you don't have to taste anything foul. So one of the things in here, we have these incredible master branch terrains. So we can actually look for what candida, what yeast, what fungus, what parasite, what bacteria, what mycoplasma, even what venom you might be sitting with. It's amazing what's in there, and those are some of the things in the terrain. And same thing too, when you talked about things, let's say like your venoms, it's the same thing. Like I said, there are a lot of things that we can use other than what people have been talking about. And again, you can have side effects from ivermectin, and you can have lots of people with side effects from nicotine patches. Like really, there's 101, just put natural alternative, or if you're on steroids, what's a natural alternative? Marjoram, or a lot of these essential oils definitely are. So that's something else that you could look at. And so let's say if I really wanted to know what snake venoms there are, I have snake venoms, but I also have the anti-venom. So as I have a venom, I have an anti-venom, and you don't know what's going to be hitting on you. And they all have different applications. So one venom, you can actually start bleeding. Others, you can start clotting. So it's very different. And like I said, if you've seen the movie Died Suddenly, you'll know what I'm talking about. Cilantro, someone's asking about anti-radiation. You seriously have to take so much. These are not necessarily the best things to be taken by a long shot. If you want to make some cilantro or basil and pestos, they're great. You can also get cilantro essential oil. So I would, rather than a herb, you're at the point that you need to use a lot of this in essential oil. Cilantro does come as an essential oil. Infinite 8 Awareness said Andreas Moritz. That's right. He did also the liver cleanse and stuff like that. But some of these other people, like I mentioned, were well before Andrew Moritz did them. Taking tart cherry juice, again, nice. But again, some of these things, when they're fresher, better than just in, again, glasses that are pre-done. That sound you keep hearing is Dr. Robert Young. So do take a look at drrobertyoung.com and look at / his blog, and you'll see what we're up against. So Jen says, how many evenings should we do the liver gallbladder flush? I like to do it 3-4 times a year, but if you haven't done it, I would do it now. And you can do it at night, in the morning, or in the morning and then at the night. Take your choice. There's lots of stuff out there, and I like to do it in the capsules. Some people take L-ornithine pills. I don't bother with a lot of that because I have a quick way to do it. But there are different methodologies. You can look them all up and see what fits for you. There's lots on YouTube for sure, and Rumble. That conspiratory. Oh, that's funny. Okay. I have a shower filter, but not a tub filter. Will Epsom salt bath in fluoridated, chlorinated water be okay? It's better than not. And you can actually get different pills. There are vitamin C pills you used to be able to get to try and dechlorinate some of these things. Lemon oil helps dechlorinate. There are things that you can get from ion faucets that can go on the whole house on that. Using the bath bombs like that you get out there that have the citric acid or things like that is better than not. I don't like to sit in anything that would be fluoridated and chlorinated. I used to stay in Saskatoon, and it was a hellhole because of the fluoridation that they have here. That explains why all the crap happens in the prairies and University of Saskatchewan. What happens is that when you sit in a bathtub, you absorb about 8 cups of water. And that's a hell of a lot of chlorine and fluorine to get into your system and try and decalcify. And that is why we really want to look at some of this stuff. Because the essential oils I talked about, like Juva Cleanse from Young Living, which also you can make up your own pills. You can just look up the recipe or have Tony make it up for you. Is that basically that will chelate out stuff, different things like chlorine. And again, a lot of people will put in bentonite clay, zeolite clay, like in a little bag or like a tea bag, and put it into, or alfalfa, and put it into the bathtub as well. We're using a lot of stuff. I was talking with Nancy Hopkins, who's with Cosmic Reality, Shungite Reality. And in here, if you're starting to notice they're playing with the live stream, they always like to do that after a while. So normally I actually have a bit of a metal screen here because they start targeting me as well. So if you're seeing it scrambled on your end, that's because they're trying to scramble that. So just leave it for what it is and take the information. If I'm moving too fast for you, remember on the bottom where the little wheel is, it says settings, go to speed. If you want to slow it down, check 0.75 speed, 0.75. If you're like me, you speed it up to 1.5 to 2. Okay, it depends how fast each one of us process. And that's all that is there. So if you want to take a look at it, does anyone else have any other questions? Have we covered enough stuff here? So what I wanted to suggest in here was we looked at yoni pearls, yoni steams. You can look up aromatherapy or essential oil suppositories. That's very, very, very important. Okay, look up these simple things. Get your spring water into place. Get your seeds into place that you could be doing. I'm not going to repeat myself right now. You will not be able to get these contaminants out of the food or the berries or the trees. They will now wash off. This is not something we can wash off this time. So I've been pre-warned about that, and I'm letting you know. So you need to really take this at heart because this is a secondary way of putting it into the food and the water system. Okay. And so I want you to take a look at that and just see what happens here. So you never know what's going to happen. Those people that are aware of the Okanagan area, I was just informed by Lorraine, the Okanagan Resort has been burnt to the ground right now. So there we go. No more Okanagan Resort. Anyway, so I'm going to suggest you guys all have bug out and bug it kits. We may have to stay in. The other thing too, I'm going to advise if you have the ability to get plants, minimum of 10 to 15 plants, and I want you to look up radiation or air purification plants. Keep them in your house. Very, very important what those plants can do because they can turn over a lot of this stuff internally. You may need to seal some things up, and that's what I've had to do because you're breathing this stuff in. And those of us that have contacts, I've had to go back to using glasses a lot because what I've found is that these towers that are going to 5 and 6G are now actually with the chemicals in the air, they're burning out and melting our contacts. So a lot of people are noticing their contacts and their eyes are drying out or they're getting swollen eyes or itchy eyes. This is not an allergy response. This could be the polymer and the different chemicals actually breaking down and melting within the eye system. So be very careful of that as well on that. So I want to thank you for joining me. I'm Karen Ann Lusick McDonald. I hope this has been helpful. Please make your comments below. And the other thing too is that you can also get a hold of me, or if you'd like a consult, you can certainly go to my Genius site, but there's a comment section. So if you would just like to have a consult, you can do it there. We got a couple more questions before I go. If you don't have veg caps for suppositories, you can make them with shea and coconut oil and shape it with your hands. Well, even better than that, like I said, I don't usually use veg caps for them. You can look up essential oil suppositories, and you can use shea or coconut oil. And actually what I like better than shea or use all three will be the addition of cacao butter. So you can actually take the cacao butter, like what I make chocolates with, and add the aromatherapy. And rather than shaping it with your hands, you can actually put that liquefied into a straw and cut it off. Or you can get basically ice cube trays if you don't want to use molds. And you can simply actually just take some tin foil and shape it, because otherwise it's a bit of a pain to keep doing it like that. So any of the silicone pop-up that are look like rounded little ice cube trays for $1, the dollar stores are excellent for that. They actually fit in much nicer, or putting them, like I said, into a large straw and freezing them. And somebody goes, it's hard to keep up with you. Thank gosh for replays. Okay, so these are some of the things. And again, having that experience to do this, I ran centers. I've helped put centers together. I've been with some of the top people in the world, and I'm very excited to have been mentored with a lot of them. So again, just know that there are a lot of people, and just realize that you may not be aware of. Don't get caught too much into what has happened, even in Maui or other areas. There are underground facilities. There are bioweapons labs. There are gates that they have, again, taken people, children to that they shouldn't have, and they're being taken back. And we had to see some of this done. And the servers, and I don't know if you're aware, but the Space Force headquarters and the servers were in some of these centers. So as they're taking out what belongs, they're just being brought back to the people and hopefully being used benevolently down the road. So you just have to keep your head into check. Remember, there are people, as they're playing out their realities, and they may not be sitting there on like timeline 0. They may be in a 3D world and you're in 5D, 6D, 10D, whatever dimension you are, much more evolved. These people are playing out their heaven and hell in here right now. And they have decided and done that in their little simulation or whatever they wanted to. You have to be able to keep that at check and realize that you're here for a reason, and that many of us will be here to reset up some of this stuff. I'm very excited that the hashtag Save the Children is being done as another convoy right now. And it's Eat Meets West if you've been on Facebook. But there will be things being brought forth to me as a clan mother as I got rid of the Queen and broke all those agreements and proclamations and stuff with these bloodlines and notorious people that are soulless. In 2013, that was the end of the world, but the end of our agreement with them. So will be the wampum belts and others. So I will be meeting with different people, and some of our treaties on copper are literally from 3060 BC. And this one I'm going to be looking at shortly will be from the 1600s. So everyone is going to be, again, disengaging themselves from, being an agent or referring agent from these people. So hopefully this will put it into place for the benevolence of our clans, which means children, by the way. It's not the KKK. Clans means children. So for our children to come up, and for our great children and all the posterity coming in. So it's hard to keep up with me. Okay. Yes, absolutely. You're agreeing with that. That's great. Karen, thank you so much for all you're doing, sharing, and for everything you do. You're amazing. And when the girl says to, there's so much healing to be done. I cannot emphasize, this is about you healing you. When you put, literally, as you saw, I put that mask on myself first. If someone's ill, I can bring it there, but I do not get within very close proximity to anyone vaxxed. As I said, I will bleed and go into radiation illness and start hemorrhaging around them, which Tabby and other people know firsthand, or dental stuff. So as we're doing some of the new technologies and involving some of the other different people, I'm really excited to see what's going to be developing for us, like in opening this up and having we are the Regen Bed Center. My gosh, it starts with you. This could be in your own home. Now, as this thing's, I'm just going to show you here, it's starting to bubble up. There we go. It's starting to do its little steamy thing. There's your steamychick.com. Put your herbs and oils. Let it steam up. You can hear it starting to bubble. Again, you can stand over that and do a facial. I want you to think of a facial or standing over it and smudging it. And I do it for young girls. I used to sit there with 4-year-olds and get them started. Those are the generations. Those are your rites of passage and stuff like that. Very, very important to do that. And so this is a few of my favorite things. Laughter colonics. And I want you to start, again, I want you to start using your voice, getting that out, because this stuff is coming in and it's trying to suppress the 5th chakra, your throat and everything else. So getting out there, drumming, singing, that's the best thing you can do to keep your spirits up and keep the energy going up. And even with that, I want you to think of something. Actually, I'm going to get it right now because it's up on my wall. Do you remember, those of us that know what a nation is and a national anthem has got nothing to do with Canada and the Masonic Illuminati KKK that formed it with the Canadian flag? I want you to remember, if you're part of the Bear Clan, that would be part of our nation's thing. So this is my national anthem. And it doesn't matter. I'm the white bear. I'm not native. I'm not with the wampum belts and the peace pipes. I'm with the Noah's ones in here that went all the way through from Anglo all the way down to Queen Cleopatra. All those tribes and different things like that. But we would go, here's the Bear Clan. Hey-ya, hey-ya, ho. Hey-ya, hey-ya, ho. Yahweh, hey-yo. Manitoba. So if you want to hear the rest of it, you can look up the Bear Clan song. And again, learning some different things as we're starting to talk about. You'll see me with Dr. Dina Churchill. If you haven't seen my clan mother governance and the original women that appointed the men, that the men and the women's councils could be brought back together based on our nationality. And this is what needs to be brought forth, is getting rid of these different things as people fragmenting to different admiralty, to maritime, to even common law. Remember, treaty, tribal law, your mothers have already given you the law of the creator. And it's for us to step back into that law. And so I was talking with Lair, who's a JAG, Army Navy lieutenant lawyer for the court marshals, and spending some time with him. We talked about some of these things that I did with Dr. Dina Churchill on BitChute, and just look up BitChute and put clan mother governance. And I'll be doing some stuff coming up with them, but this will tie into the Shepherd's Calendar and original court orders that are literally thousands of years old. So we'll be doing some fun things that tied into Shakespeare, that tied into all these different things, or Edmund Spenser, Ismond, all sorts of things, the Eckankar, the Vecca, all sorts of things in the Hue. So these are some new things that we're looking at, and I hope to bring forward to you. If you're not on my Facebook, please join there. I'm at K.A. Lusick, the newest one. There is Kieran and McDonald, but you won't get on. I've got many that are over 5,000, let me tell you. But the K.A. Lusick, L-U-C-Y-K, is the best one, or on Telegram. So thank you for joining me. Kieran and Lusick McDonald, spasibo. And I want you to get into alignment here. Have fun. When you're prepped, I'm excited that this is happening. Again, as this comes in, I'm giving you those things to extend your energy field, to extend your aura, to neutralize, to chelate, to, put things back into balance. And it's just how simple things can be done. And again, if you want to have the aura scan, if you want to look for your minerals and vitamins, if you want to look for stuff, if you're having stress or anxiety, let us see what is the best thing. Or just go to my website, or to Ryan's website, InsightHealthApps. Or if you just want a 10 or 15-minute consult, maybe you just need to, bounce an ideal off me. Maybe that's all you need, and that'll be there. So what we're going to do is we're going to start taking that gunk and start pushing it out. Because as it's coming inside people, we have to clean from the inside out now, and upside down, just like carrying laws of healing, and get you into getting that hot pink and that plasma, okay, and getting that rosy, rosy, rosy kind of aura back. So anyway, I want to thank you again. Have fun. Thanks for joining me. It's been great. And hopefully, if you have any questions, leave them in the bottom of the chat, and I'll hopefully get back to you. And do look at the one that I just did before. It's half the time of this one. And some of the other ones. Remember, you got to go not to my just Kieran and Lusick McDonald on YouTube. You need to go to those live streams, because that's the only place you're going to see with some of the other stuff that we've done, to do this and put these waters in, put them into water blessings, and get everything to place, because, we got a lot of stuff to write out the next couple things. And like I said, it's all for the most benevolence here. Profound and expansive blessings to you. Same thing, okay? We'll see you guys later. Lots of love. Ciao.